Tonight on Hip on the Spot News, we jump in the latest tactical shooter action. We pick up the challenge of the streets of Fallujah. We get to see how it is to wait for air support. And we discover that we need more training as a team. This and more on How I Play. Hello virtual soldiers, I'm Andre Celesti, and tonight we are going to take a dive in the world of tactical first-person shooters with a new title called 6 Days in Fallujah, developed by Highwire Games and published by Victura. The game's plot follows a squad of United States Marines from the 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, fighting in the Second Battle of Fallujah of the Iraqi War over the span of 6 days in November 2004. Here at How I Play, we choose to cover this title as it brings back memories from Operation Flashpoint Red River, a personal favorite of mine back in the day. And interesting enough, I was just about to prepare for a replay of that game, and the internet exploded with this new title that was in development for many years, and now we get to experience something close to what war looked like in Fallujah, depicted in a very unique way. Of course, I put Petrovich to contact the developer and ask if we can cover the title, and they kindly sent us a key. I don't know what he did, but he did it right.
No problem, commander.
Now, you can imagine that this title is different. Take for example that the premise of the game was the subject of a controversy in 2009, but more on that later. 6 Days in Fallujah has been released in early access on PC on June 22, 2023 and will be released on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X in 2024. So, how is it? Well, being in early access, it has a long way further to get all the improvements and additional content required to be judged as a full release game. With that being said, 6 Days in Fallujah stands out from other titles with its unique feel. It really puts you out there, on the streets of Fallujah, clearing alleys and room by room, never knowing what's around the corner. The inspiration for the game came from a US Marine who participated in the battle and asked to have a game made of it. The team at Atomic Games interviewed over 70 individuals, composed of returning US Marines, Iraqi civilians, Iraqi insurgents, war historians, and senior military officials, and learned the physiological complexity of the battle. At launch, 6 Days in Fallujah includes 4 cooperative 4-player missions based on events during the first 2 days in the northern part of the city. The missions are set in urban maps that are generated procedurally every time the game is played to recreate the uncertainty of combat along with unlimited replayability. And I gotta say, it works. No mission is the same, and it always gets you by surprise.
Be careful.
That plus the fact that the game's environments are 100% destructible and degradable thanks to a completely custom rendering engine. Other content creators describe the title as a survivor horror game. I am talking about the Devil Dog Gamer, shout out to him and his channel, and yes, the game has a tendency to deliver that feel of a horror game, but not in the traditional sense. The fear in 6 Days comes from the unpredictable, terrifying and real tactics employed by the insurgents that were scattered through Fallujah. The AI will try to flush you out, surround you, and is reacting on your every move. Alright, not all the time. Remember, early access title, many things need tweaking and the developers know that. But the fact that the AI will be attracted by your flashlight, movement, and even VoIP voice activity makes this title really cool and immersive. And speaking of audio, now, after a few updates, I can say it's one of the best and immersive audio systems I ever heard in a video game, when it works. Truth be said, it's a bit different, as you start up with your local audio always on. This is for teammates that are in your proximity, and using space, you can transmit audio through comms. The reverberation inside buildings is outstanding when communicating. Blasting your way inside, it makes you more confused than in the alleyway, where you hear voices coming from a certain direction. Oh, and when you press spacebar to communicate with your team members, the animation for comms will interfere with loading weapons or any other action requiring your both hands. Again, immersive. Option-wise, the game has some quality of life improvements since the first release in early access. The developers are listening to the user recommendations, which is always a good thing. For the aim preference, they have multiple ways on how to simulate the aiming, meaning you have the option to switch between iron sight or scope to a semi-hip aim, point and shoot view. Also, they have the option for auto-lean if it should be done automatically or manually from the keyboard. Reloading caused a bit of confusion in the early days. It was initially done different. If you were tapping the R button, it would only check for the ammo in the mag, and you needed to hold down the button for the reload. But now it can be done as a classic FPS with a tap of a button. The game also has a HUD visibility option that greatly increases your immersion. I suggest you keep it on default for a few rounds and then switch it to your liking. The graphics settings are decent, not much to be said. The game runs smooth with no issues, not that I encountered or our hip crew. It also features a training level, basic for the moment, but good to get a taste of the action. Oh, and for movement, there are 3 different speeds at which you can travel. The default one is walking, then holding shift you will hustle up and pick up the pace, and double tapping shift you will sprint. This simulates the weight that you have on you and the fact that in reality you really cannot do the acrobatics like in the other arcade shooter titles. And as a side note, you cannot jump around, you can only vault over obstacles by using F. So, as I said before, for the moment there are only 4 missions available for you to experience. They start at random, so you cannot pick them yet. I think this is in order to make sure all missions are being played and tested. Of course, once you are in one and choose to replay, you will have the same mission and objective, and only the seed generation will change. The developer has a roadmap for the early access. For the first phase in Q3 of this year, they will include nighttime missions plus more time of day, like morning or evening, and of course, more weather varieties that affect vision and operations. For Q4, we should get AI teammates that you can lead, 1 additional co-op mission, and more systemic variables within mission simulations. Pushing further in the future, 2024 Q1, we can expect the first story campaign mission, civilians being added in the co-op and campaign and additional missions. Q2 of 2024 and beyond should bring the special operator missions, other coalitions and nationalities, and more co-op and story campaign missions. So the goal of 6 days in Fallujah is to create the most realistic military shooter possible. The developer mentioned in their FAQ that at first they wanted to build their co-op simulation sandbox, this being the foundation of all their technology. And immediately after that, they have the AI teammates with very ambitious plans for their single-player experience. Nice! And then we can expect the campaign missions and so on. So quite a clear roadmap, and we hope they will manage to implement everything they require in order to deliver that realistic military shooter. As of now, June 2023, the loadouts are limited to a team leader, a fire role, basically your machine gunner, then you got an assist, that is your breacher, and ready. I really hope we get to see bigger teams and a bit of customization, but that's all up to the developer and how they choose to limit or expand this system. Now about the controversy back in 2009, given the fact that the true events of the game is based upon were recent at that time, it was originally to be published by Konami, but in April 2009, the Associated Press was informed that Konami was no longer publishing the game due to the controversy surrounding it. The game was originally slated for a 2010 release, but that release was cancelled. The game was put on hold until 2016. In February 2021, the game was announced to be back in development at Highwire Games, consisting of former Halo and Destiny game developers. And here we are today. I am glad this title managed to pass through all difficulties and get the chance that it deserves. We will continue to keep our eyes peeled and track the progress of this title as its development continues. And that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. Remember to leave us a like if you find our video informative and subscribe to keep in touch with all the latest news on your favorite simulators and games. I am Andre Celesti, reminding you to fly safe, and I'll see you next time.